What's up, everybody? I hope you all are doing well today. I am just flabbergasted and I just want to scream. Let me scream a little loud because I am so tired of these church people. I'm so bad. So let me tell you why I just again want to scream and scream loud. Hold on, let me find my screen. Now, the reason why I want to do that is because I am so tired of this Bishop Wooten or Wooden or whatever his name is. I am so tired of him. This man majors in the minors. We are still talking about Jamal Bryant's grown wife, grown people pay their own mortgage, dress. Can I say that your personal convictions are not the convictions of theirs? They don't have to do what you want them to do. And I just think it's crazy that she would let somebody dictate how she should dress. Yet, once again, though, nobody ain't saying nothing about Kirk Franklin jumping all over the stage with them tight pants on with his package showing. Nobody ain't saying nothing about all of these tight suits that folk be wearing. I'm talking about these men. Now, this is what bothers me. Bishop, how many city council meetings have you gone to? Because I'm sure that people in your congregation have children who go to school. So I'm sure there are school board meetings, and I'm sure that there are some disparities and things between Black students and white students. How many city council meetings have you gone to on behalf of your people? I don't hear you complaining about local, state, national, and international events. You should be hollering right now about the injustice and the men and women in the armed services that are fighting this unjust, I don't even know if we could call it war, on this oil takeover. I don't hear you fighting about this ICE situation detaining American citizens. Now they done unalived a woman because she was in a protest. I don't hear you talking about that, Bishop. I don't hear you, Bishop, talking about the cuts to SNAP benefits. Because I know you got people in your church, if nothing but senior citizens, who rely on SNAP. Bishop, I don't hear you talking about the people whose premiums are going up, who are going to have to drop their insurance because they can't afford the premiums. And now they're going to have to go without, and it can bankrupt them. I don't hear you screaming about that. I don't hear you screaming about the price of groceries, the cuts in food banks. I don't hear you screaming about that. But yet, You making a big squawk about a woman in a dress. And I'm sure that Jamal Bryant's wife dress is not adversely affecting the people at your church. But all of those things that I just mentioned are. But yet, you're not dealing with those. You would rather clamor about a woman's dress and who wants to love who, instead of dealing with those bigger issues that adversely affect your people. Your priorities are wrong. And then to see y'all church people talking about something, yes, holiness is right. Holiness is right. Well, if holiness is right in that lady dress, then holiness should be right, and your daughters and your sons should be getting impregnated, since holiness is right. But yet, y'all Pentecostal churches have the highest rate of teen pregnancy. Hello, somebody. Holiness is right. But Kojic, y'all got the biggest issues with these bishops doing shady deals, abusing people in the church, and using their pastoral authority in the wrong way. That ain't pleasing to God. But y'all want to be the first to call holiness is right. But yet, y'all ain't right. And I don't have a problem with the church. I have a problem with this kind of stuff right here. I am just disgusted. Now, somebody told me, and I don't know if it's true, and I hope it's not, but somebody said that this man is a Trump supporter anyhow. And if he is, that explains a lot of things. I hope he is not. It is alleged that he is. But I am so tired of us harping on these things, but we got bigger issues to deal with. You got a whole president that just took out a whole president in another country, threatening to take Greenland, another sovereign nation that belongs to Denmark. Denmark makes those decisions. And we don't think something is wrong with that. NATO is now getting involved. And I'm just appalled that some people who are in the Senate, in the House, ain't saying nothing loud enough. Because it's just ridiculous. It's appalling. And all of this, and you ain't covering up the Epstein thing. And it seems like he's just trying to create chaos so we can get unfocused off the Epstein situation and all of these things that's going on. Now, don't get me wrong, you all. I love the beef sector mess. But y'all, we got some serious stuff going on. This man is really putting our country at risk. I do not feel safer with him making veiled threats at other countries. It puts us at risk. I don't think I wouldn't even want to travel outside the country now with this crazy man. It's crazy. And he always tries to get a diversion to take people's eyes off of the situation at hand. Yeah, he's crazy. And Marco Rubio talking about something, well, we want to buy Denmark. Denmark said, hey, look, Greenland is not for sale. And there's no justification for this foolishness. It's foolishness. and then you bypassing Congress to do this? It's just unbelievable. And all I'm saying, you all, is we're dealing with some real life situation. And I'm gonna tell you, I have never been so. And don't get me wrong, I'm alert, but not alarmed. But I'm definitely alert that this stuff that's going on is not normal. I have never seen anything like this in my adult life from a president. Now, we thought that Bush was bad. Now, I'm talking about the younger Bush, the one that's still living. We thought Reagan was bad. This shit is really bad. So Trump wants to control the Arctic because, China and Russia are already making shipping tunnels and trans channels through the Arctic already. Again, global warming is all about, they don't think about the planet is suffering. All they can think about is money and shipping channels, not realizing that. And Trump, again, was the shipping channels and, of course, defense. Keep you out. And now he's saying that we controlling Venezuela's oil. And Russia said we want our oil. So it's getting ready to get ugly now because you messing with Russia's oil. You messing with China's oil right now. And you're talking about taking over other countries. Because you got a strong military, that doesn't mean that you use them like that. And this man might be the downfall of our country. I don't think people realize that. And it's terrible. And we're not in a good place. And let me tell y'all something. When I tell you that these people will have us back in the cotton fields and picking peas, and y'all talk about something now, Jay, no. This administration don't even believe that black people are worthy enough. Why would you say that, Jay? Well, when you tell me that if a black pilot was flying a plane, that you would want a white one because you would feel uncomfortable, that tells me when you keep on calling African countries S-hole countries, but not looking at the context of why they S-hole countries. They S-hole countries because of colonialism and how the people robbed the resources and then left it abandoned. And then you wonder why. Oh, come on, wake up, people. This is why you better invest in yourself. Because, baby, you don't know when you have to leave this country, baby. You might have to go to Canada. Do you have some skills? Do you even have a passport? Can you even leave? Okay. That might have went over some people's heads. We are. And I don't think people know how close we are. This man has made some really bad decisions. You went into another sovereign country, took their leadership, took their resources, and now you're claiming that you're going to do that to Colombia, Mexico, Cuba, Greenland, and you don't think people are not going to take your word seriously? Because they saw what you just did to Venezuela. And the people backed up. Why do you think that black man dropped from that position? Because he knew that this is a corrupt administration. He knew that they wrong. Wrong. And he didn't want to be implicated and have war criminal on his record. That man knew what he was doing. Now, I'm sorry I'm not talking about Ness. I'm sorry I'm not talking about Brian right now. I are in a real dire situation. And for those people who are on public assistance, baby, they coming for you. You can't get no dessert. You can't get nothing. And what you don't understand is those fresh fruits and vegetables have gone up tremendously now since this embargo, since this situation with these tariffs. So junk food was affordable. But now with your SNAP benefits cut, you got to buy higher costing food and you can't even afford it. And they're not going to let you buy the junk. So you screwed. I know people who were Trump loyalists, but they are on the ACA plan. And now they don't want to lose their health insurance. See, this is some real stuff. I saw what happened in Minneapolis with ICE. And it's terrible. No one should be getting that way. They don't want them there. They shouldn't even be there in the first place. Junk food costs more in the end, but look, y'all, let me say this, and maybe we're not getting the message. Everybody wants to eat healthy now. And when people who have money want to eat healthy, the food prices go up. It's almost cheaper to go out to eat than cook the damn meal. I don't know what y'all talking about. And it's just like when certain neighborhoods become desirable again. Taxes go up, black people move out, the affordability is not there anymore, and we leave. I'm just saying. Girl, beans and rice. Beans and rice. Now, you know black people gonna make it work. Now, one thing is we are used to adversity. And we gonna make it work. They don't. And you're right about that. See, that's what people don't understand. They want people sick. They want people fat. And Walmart is upset. Come on, y'all. Come on now. Look. Those GLP-1 drugs are a challenge for Walmart because people are not buying snacks like they used to. And the profit margin for stores like Walmart is so thin. Why do you think when the government shutdown happened that stores in rural and urban areas started closing? Because most of those people have SNAP benefits. And just like Medicaid and Medicare, baby, Medicaid and Medicare kept your rural hospital open. SNAP and WIC keep a lot of these grocery stores in less affluent areas and rural areas open. You better ask somebody. Yes, she is gone. And you were right about that. I am outraged that this bishop is talking about Jamal Bryant's wife's dress, knowing that he got people in his church struggling right now. Knowing that he have people in his congregation struggling right now. But yet, he want to talk about that lady dress. Can I say this? Jamal Bryant's wife's dress is not adversely affecting your people. Her dress is not causing your people to go home. Her dress is not causing people not to get their diabetes medicine because the insurance done gone up and they can't afford it. That dress is not causing hunger in your congregation. The thing that you need to be yelling about, you ain't saying nothing about. And then we got the nerve to say, tell it, Bishop. Tell it, Bishop. Holiness is right. Holiness is right. When you stand up and advocate for those people who have no voice for themselves. You didn't see Jesus up there talking about people's clothes. Jesus was trying to make sure people was fed. Jesus was trying to make sure that people were healed and that the powers that be were not taking advantage of those people. That's what Jesus would be doing. And you talking about somebody's dress. They better put some side on money because, baby, it's getting ready to get hard. But can I say, I don't give a damn about Jamal Bryant. Jamal Bryant don't have nothing to do with that man's church. That's what I don't get. And we so focused on that damn dress that we can't even see that people are hungry in our church. And if you're going to talk about that woman dress, then talk about Kurt Franklin's tight pants and all that gyrate simulating like he hunching at a gospel concert. Come on now. We so selective. We so selective. Oh, I'm so tired of this. Yeah, he did. Both muscle shirts and don't get me started. We got bigger fish to fry, folks. I'm just saying, we got bigger fish to fry, and our focus is on the wrong thing. And like I said, Jamal Bryant's wife dress is not making your people starve. It ain't making her dress ain't making people insurance premium go up. And my thing is this. Some of these churches don't even have resources to help anybody. Let me say this, y'all. I went to a church where they had certain resources to help. However, they had the hotline to the Catholic charities. So if people needed formula and diapers, Catholic charities could help them. They had resources to everything. So my thing is, if your church couldn't even afford the baby formula, could somebody at least say, well, even though we don't have it, I'm going to give you some resources, and I know XYZ at Catholic Charities, or I know XYZ at XYZ, and you can call her, and they will be able to give you XYZ. They couldn't do that. See, that's bad when you turn people away, but don't give them no resources. Here come Marvin Winans raising all of this money for a church they can't even afford. They need to sit down somewhere, all of that money. And y'all, let me tell you something. I was looking at his church because he was doing a tribute to Richard Smallwood. And when I tell you they got a little glimpse of that balcony. And when I tell you that church was empty, it was the choir and it was a few people in the front, and that was it. I don't know what you're going to do, sir. But baby, after you told that woman that her offering wasn't good enough, baby, you messed up. The audacity, the brazenness of you to even reject that woman's offering so you can build your empire. All of this is about a legacy so people can see what you left at the end. You building buildings, but you ain't building people. You building these buildings, but you ain't building people. If you were doing it right, you wouldn't have to do that. There is a church, and I think this church is in New Jersey. And the pastor of this church have financial literacy classes. They have classes to help people to get out of debt and all of this stuff. And the people appreciate it so much because these people have really changed their life, not only spiritually, but they know that people got to live on earth. That when COVID hit, they didn't have any problem because people knew the value of the church because that church invested in them, not only spiritually, but help them, help their children get into college. So again, I don't have a problem with your church expanding and building buildings when something is going on in the buildings, and your church should be busy Sunday through Sunday, meaning that when the church opens, your church shouldn't be closed. Your church should be open 7 days a week. It may not be 24 hours a day, but it needs to be 7 days a week. Something need to be going on at your church. Do you have something going on for the senior citizens? What you got going on for the community? Building all these buildings, but yet ain't nothing in there but on Sunday. And thinking y'all doing something. Oh, I know I'm making some folk mad today, but I just can't believe Wooden wants to run his gums like that, but yet not running his gums about what the government is doing to these people. Want to run his mouth about a dress, but not running his mouth about SNAP. And let me tell y'all something, man. I saw this man, and it hurts me because we only think SNAP benefits people who are elderly, and people don't understand. Some of these mothers are working 2-3 jobs just to make ends meet. Just to make ends meet, y'all. But let me say this, and this really hurt. There was a man who just got out of prison. And he said, I'm on SNAP. And they shutting SNAP down. And he said, I don't want to be on a SNAP. He said, I don't want to be on SNAP, but I can't get no job. And he said, I done been through programs to help people like me get a job. And when I do get the job, I still need SNAP benefits. And he said, I can't catch a break. He said, I done paid my time, but I'm still being penalized for it. And he said, so if you want me to get off of SNAP, then help me get a job. Lord, I felt it. The man showed where he was putting in applications and everything, y'all. I was floored. Because the man was trying. And that told me that they don't give a damn about you getting released from prison. They want your ass to go right back to prison so they can baby, it's profit in prisons. People don't understand there's profit in prisons. Some of these towns who had manufacturing, some of these towns who had food processing, they turn to prisons. And they want you to go back to jail. Because as long as you go to jail, you keep them employed. My God, today. My God, today. The man said, I want a job. I don't want to be on SNAP, but I can't get a job. And he showed the applications, and my heart just went out. So, Bishop, are you working with people like that? See, you worried about a dress, but you got black men who are incarcerated at a higher rate than their white counterparts. They get out, they don't have a job. They trying to get a job. And this is what happens. I can't buy prison stock not knowing how they treat prisoners. Hold on for y'all. I'll be right back. I got to get gas. Hold on for a quick minute. Hey, y'all, I'm back. I'm sorry for that delay. I had to get some gas and heading on to the house. My God, today. Well, yeah, you all. So this is what I really wanted to talk about today. And like I said, I love the beef sector. I love what we do in the beef sector, but there are some serious things going on. And we as a people need to keep our eyes open. You know, I'm really praying for those folk who have folk in the military right now. You know, I have nephews and cousins in the military, and I'm concerned about them. You know, I have a friend and her son is in the Air Force. You know, but I'm more concerned about those people. I'm concerned about all of our service people, but especially those who serve in the Marines, those who serve in the Army and the Navy on them ships. You know, always concerned. So, not to say the Air Force don't do it, but, you know, not too many of us are flag, but all the people who are in the armed services, even the Coast Guard ain't safe. Even the Coast Guard ain't safe, you know. And so I just pray for folk who got folk in the military. It's that serious. And, you know, I know some people right now, they were loyal Trump supporters, but, and they were reluctant to get the ACA or Obamacare. They were so reluctant, but they had to because they had so many medical issues. And now that they have it, they don't want to let it go. And they are anti-Trump now. Because, see, it's easy to be pro-Trump when he's doing it to other people. Or you think those other people, he's sticking it to them. But then when you become those other people, then it becomes serious. And now they're concerned. And they don't want to vote for him. But if you would have talked to them about a year ago, oh, they were Trump, and but now, yeah, see, it hits you. It's not important to you until it's you. Yeah. So I'm just saying, you all, we have to be awake. And we've let these people think that woke is a bad thing and diversity, equity, and inclusion is a bad thing. No, it's not. No, it's not. And you have to have people. And let me tell you what Trump did. Trump got incompetent people. And what he has done should be a lesson to all of us. This is what happens when you rubber sign or not rubber stamp, rather. Rubber stamp foolishness. This is what happens when you don't have qualified people on your team. They do stupid stuff. And then they will you when you don't open the door for people to say, well, I would do it this way because of, and even though you may have some pushback, you can respect that you have differences of opinions coming through. And again, they're not dealing in facts. They're like this Robert Kennedy. Why is this man under his watch? We're suffering. People are dying from the flu in droves. And the people and the kids, look, kids are dying of the flu. Most of the kids who die of the flu is because they're not vaccinated. Because this fool done told people, don't get vaccinated. He's such an anti-vaxxer that people are dying. Measles were unheard of in the United States. We had almost eradicated it. But now in Texas and now in some of these Midwestern states, is making a resurgence because this fool talking about, and it's not based in science. And his own person who hired him, that he hired rather, went against him and he fired her. All of this misinformation and all of this is to do so we won't trust in our institutions anymore. So now the National Institute of Health and the CDC has to go back now and regain the people's trust because this ignoramus don't know what the hell he's talking about. Now you got Betsy DeVos wondering why we're closing all of these schools down. Well, y'all giving folk vouchers to go to these ill-prepared charter schools. And can I say this? Charter schools ain't no better than your public schools. And the only charter schools that are better than your public schools are usually in wealthy neighborhoods because they have the money to do it. Baby, these charter schools are businesses. Somebody auntie running the kitchen. She don't have not 1 degree in nutrition management. But because she cooked the food for the church, then they think that she's qualified. I'm being real. If your child is going to a charter school, you better ask yourself, is it a real good one? Because in Texas, baby, they got to pass these tests. I'm being real with y'all right now. And the schools that do well are schools that folk who got bad children can't get in. Baby, if you don't have the money or if your child is a behavior issue, you out. If you as a parent don't participate, you are out. I know somebody who went to a really exclusive school, but the child got kicked out, not because the child wasn't doing well, because the parents can participate. And that's their way of getting people out. Oh, come on now. You can't afford the uniform? Out. Unless you can play basketball. See, hello, somebody. If your child can dribble a ball, or kick a soccer ball, hit a baseball, then they can get in. But can I tell you something? IMG don't want your child if your child ain't doing nothing. And most of these charter schools are not any better than your public schools. It ain't choice, because the people who have choice got money. Oh, come on. Y'all don't want to hear that word. Y'all don't want to hear that word. But I'm here to tell you. And what happens is these kids go to these charter schools and they got to come right back to the school that they left. And it's double dipping. Now, you done paid double for that child, leaving the school budget, you done blew the budget out because you done spent so much money on that child who back at the same school, and now you want to close it. Child, I'm telling you, yeah. And all of these people want to do is make money. Charter schools make money, y'all. Charter schools make money. Honey, these charter school CEOs make more than principals. Okay, the principals at charter schools make more than any of these principals out here. I mean, to me, y'all just don't know. Y'all just don't know. And they make money off of the children. Tell me why in 6th grade there are 40 students to one teacher. Now you know that's bullshit. It should be no more than 17 kids per teacher. At the max, 24, 25. At the max, and that's still a lot to handle. But yet these kids, 40 to a room, and we think that we doing something, and then wonder why our test scores are low and that our children are performing at a lower rate than kids in other countries. And these charter schools ain't doing nothing. If they were so great, then let me say this. There is a charter school in San Antonio. It's called Bates. Basis is the number one school, but Basis is in Chavano Park. And Chavano Park is an exclusive park. It's many exclusive parks in San Antonio, but that's one exclusive area. And Basis Chavano is in Chavano Park. And the reason why that charter school is great because of the money that's there. But baby, you start going to them Great Hearts and these other academies they got, baby, it's brutal, honey. It's brutal. The kids barely know how to read. And then they be promising these Spanish parents that they have English second language and be lying and don't. Child, let me move on. Because I believe that's by design. I do believe that's by design. Because we give these people false hope that their kids going to college and these kids can barely read. It's sad. Yeah, school is what you make it, but all I'm gonna say is wealthier neighborhoods have a better tax base. They have more parent participation. Parents have more flexibility. And I'm saying all charter schools ain't created equal. And the charter schools that are usually doing well, usually in wealthy neighborhoods. Let me say this too. In Texas, there are charter schools and there are public schools. But charter schools in the Rio Grande Valley do well because they're the only game in town. So the charter schools in the Rio Grande Valley have a waiting list of 1,000. So they can pick the best of the best. They don't have to deal with your unruly child. And as soon as you cut up in one of those schools, you gone. Because see, they're the only game in town. I want y'all to catch that. They're the only game in town. Do you not know that in Texas, that Mexican children who live across the border to go to our schools? You know why? Because if they didn't cross the border, some of our schools would be closed. See, we always talk about them illegal immigrants and this and this and this, but people don't understand that if it wasn't for some of those people, some of these schools would be closed. I'm just saying. That's why I just look at people and shake my head because I'm like, unless you live here, unless you've been in that educational system, you don't know what you're talking about. Oh my God, Brooklyn Butterfly. If you think it's bad in public schools, it's probably about 20 times worse in charter schools. You know, we shouldn't, as Americans, have to pay taxes for public schools to have crappy public schools. But I'm with you. I don't have no child, but if I had a child, they would be going to private school, a good Episcopal school, because it ain't no joke. Oh, it's true, Brooklyn Butterfly. And as a parent, if I sent my kid, if I had a kid, to public school, it would be in a high performing district. And see, you just can't say that my child is in a high performing district. Uh-uh. Mm-mm. You can't stop there. You got to go to the school, talk to some parents, and find out who the good teachers are, and demand that your child be in that teacher's class. Because, baby, they will stick your child in a teacher class who ain't creative. Either you'll get a teacher who retired and don't give a damn, or you'll get a inexperienced young teacher who can't control her class. And then you better get old nasty piece of seasoned, I care for my children type educator, and make sure your child is learning. Because it just don't stop that you drop your child off at the school. You got to know who these teachers are. You got to know who these teachers are. And trust me, these teachers have ratings as well. Yeah, they have observations as well. And you better make sure your child get in that class. And usually the teacher who nobody don't want to be in their class, that's going to be the best teacher because they ain't playing. See, these children don't like these hard teachers because they're going to challenge them. But you need to meet these teachers. And not only that, you need to look at your child's homework, because if you know that that ain't an A paper and that paper is a C, but your child got an A, then chances are that person is pushing your child through. And just because you like a child, that don't mean that child getting that grade. I'm just saying, y'all, because see, we don't know. Making sure your child gets a proper education is more than just looking at the report card. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just being real. And then we wonder why, when I was teaching you all, I'm like, how did this young man get all the way to the 9th grade and can't read? And one day I had to sit with him and his mama. And the thing is, y'all, some of these school systems don't like to retain students. They don't want to hold students back because it messes up them. And oh my God, it's just a mess, right? And I was sitting there talking to his mama, and I'm like, he's reading on a 3rd grade level, and he's in the 9th grade. And he has problems with spelling and writing. And I'm like, now here it is now. I can work with them. They're going to have to come to tutoring. And I can try my best to get them to grade level. Oh, but he got basketball practice. Excuse me, ma'am? Yeah, he got basketball practice. But he can't read. But he got basketball practice. Let me go on mute. I'm gonna let y'all take that in. Your son is reading at a 3rd grade level. He in the 9th grade. I'm offering him tutoring to get him up to speed so he'll know how to read. But you tell me he can't do it because he got basketball practice, but he can't read. So you are prioritizing basketball over reading. Okay. 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 Baby, if you can't read, let me tell you something. I never forget, my sister took her son, and he was a excellent football player. Baby, she took him off that team. He made that grade drop down to a C. She snatched him off that team. Here come the coach. She said, oh, no, 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 no. Nope. Because she said, see, you want him for his body. You don't give a damn about his mind. And if he gets hurt today, you wouldn't give a damn about him or his grades. But she said, see, I'm not going to be taking care of no grown damn man. And so, my son is more than an athlete. And this is not what he needs to be doing. He's a scholar as well. Until he gets these grades up, he ain't playing nothing. And if football is so important to him, then he'll get his grades up. And if football is important to you, then you'll be encouraging him to get his grades up. Baby, she was not playing with the coach because the coaches don't give a damn about that. All they care about is winning the championship. Don't give two damns about your child. Okay? But get back to that student. Reading on a third grade level in the ninth grade, was a talented basketball player, but she's more concerned about his basketball practice than his literacy. Okay. Baby, it's so bad. These kids don't know how to tell time unless they got their telephone. They do not know how to use no analog clocks. Dr. Wilcott, I don't read clocks. What? I don't read clocks. What? Don't know how to do that. They don't know how to do a signature because they didn't never learn cursive. I'm going to let that soak in. Creative team, you're right. I had to get a certification in another subject because even though I have certification in speech, 7 through 12, they don't have speech classes anymore. So they don't do public speaking anymore. And we wonder why our kids are having trouble presenting. You know why? Because they don't offer speech no more. At least in Texas. You don't have to take speech communication. But yet now let me tell you this though. Let me say this. You don't have to take speech in public schools in Texas because it's not mandated anymore. But yet they want to say they are college prep. Well, how can you say that you're college prep? Because if you're truly college prep, you got to take speech communication. You got to take that class in college. It's going to come under your English, but you still have to take communications. So how are you college prep, but y'all done cut out speech communication? Again, it don't make no sense. Don't make no sense. And what bothers me is they keep on increasing these athletic budgets, but they cutting out English. And then these kids don't know how to do a 5-paragraph essay. I had to teach informative essay or argumentative essay. The kids did not know the difference between an argumentative essay. And I said, well, with an argumentative essay, you have to give the other person's side or their viewpoint. And that happens. we're used to introduction and then you have your thesis statement, then you have your topic one, and then you talk about two things, then you topic two, and then in conclude, 5 paragraph essay, you talk about those 3 topics, and then in conclusion, you will repeat again, I've talked about this, and the third, da 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 da. Baby, let me tell you something. I had to have the students remember the difference between an argumentative essay. I said, anytime you have an argumentative 5 paragraph essay, you have to put, even though my opponent says that school choices or having school choice will do this, and this, I tend to disagree. Even though my opponent says this, you got to give their standpoint of view and what they think, and then you have to give a rebuttal. If you don't have a rebuttal, if you don't give their point of view, and if you don't have a rebuttal, it's not an argumentative essay. And students would get pissed off at me because they would do a perfectly great job with the essay, but if you don't have an argumentative point, my opponent seems to think, or the people who go against this seem to think, however, and if you don't have any, you don't have an argumentative essay. I mean, y'all, it's that little stuff like that. Let me say this. Baby, I know that there was a lot of things going on in the 70s and the 80s with Gen X, but I truly believe that Gen X was probably about the last generation to get a really solid, comprehensive education. I don't have a problem with artificial intelligence. I don't have a problem with computer-based learning, but I do think Gen X was the last generation to get a solid education. I ain't lying. Child children are being left behind on a daily. That No Child Left Behind is a joke. That made people feel good. But children are being left behind. And I learned I learned as an educator, there are some kids a broom could teach them and they're going to get it. And then there are kids who will get it if they have a good educator. And there are some kids who really need specialized help. They will make it, but you got to care. And the sad part about it, y'all, and the reason why I ain't teaching high school anymore is because I was too much doing busy work and then teaching. I couldn't be a teacher. Baby, let me say, and I'm going to be honest with you all. And this is why you really need to be looking at this stuff. In Texas, they have the STAR test. Everything is STAR test generated. You hear me? And you'll teach the STAR test. And once the STAR test is finished, baby, you can pretty much teach anything you want to. But when I tell you that I would rather have my kids learn 6 things and know them well than go through 12 things and don't know none of it. And that's what they were doing. These kids, and they come up with these great curriculums that suck. How are you going to help your kid when they have to do revisions, but they don't know subordinate and coordinating conjunction? I was like, okay, baby, if you have 2 independent clauses, then how do you join 2 independent clauses together other than using a period? Baby, I had to go back and teach the basics. And then I'm like, no wonder these kids are failing the part when it comes to revision. Because if they don't even know, not only that, they didn't even know what a syllable was. No joke, you all.
Let's not go with vocabulary. And the sad part about it is, y'all, they don't get homework they have to write out now. They do homework on computer. It is a mess. But anyway, y'all, all I'm gonna say is y'all gotta take care of your kids because baby, these people will mess over your kids. And I know y'all don't want to hear this, and I know that this is not popular, but see, this is what's hurting our black folk right now. Again, because you got that mama who said, well, I want my son to do better, but he got basketball practice. And our kids are suffering. Let me say this: at the school that I did teach, it was majority Hispanic because it is San Antonio. I'm proud to say though. Now I'm gonna say this: my top students. Let me tell y'all something here. I'm getting ready to get to the nitty gritty today. So Jay, you're right, Jay. My nephew, he was doing same stuff together. He was arguing and was telling her. Let me tell you something, y'all. I had an Asian student, and when I tell you, his daddy did not play. I think his daddy was an exec, and he goofed up one time, and his daddy left the trip, flew home, and got him together. Honey, them Asian folk don't play with that education and their children. He was a top student. I had a white student. No joke. I had a couple of Hispanic students, and then I had two African American men. Daddies and mama didn't play though. They were good. And a couple of females, black females. But what I'm trying to say is that when it came down to the low-ranking students, though, my child need to be at basketball practice. And then the mama was complaining that the school was no good. Guess what her son came back to? The same school, because the other school wasn't going to play with him. Let me say this, y'all. Your education is extremely important. Your children shouldn't be taking nothing pre in high school. Pre-algebra should not be a thing in high school. Your child, and I'm just being real, you should know in 8th grade in middle school how much work you're going to have to put in your child. Baby, y'all need to start working with Sylvan and Kumon, or start doing some tutorial, or get Khan Academy, and do that Khan Academy. But when your child goes to school, it should be English 1, English 2, British literature, and American literature. That's number 1. Mathematics, it should be algebra 1, algebra 2, calculus, geometry. If your child is good in algebra, then it should be algebra 2, trigonometry, geometry, and calculus. That's what they should be taking. It shouldn't be no nothing. Your child should take Spanish 1, Spanish 2, and now a lot of schools offer Mandarin. Your child should take at least 2 years of a foreign language. Your child should have Western Civilization 1 or Social Studies. Your child should be in either FBLA or some type of activity, extracurricular, to say that, hey, I can, lyrics, stop doing that. My dog make me so sick. Girl, stop passing gas. Move. Also, because people are looking. And your child should be doing volunteer work, working at a soup kitchen, working at Habitat for Humanity, because that shows that, and I'm talking about getting in a very competitive college. So if you think you're going to go to an Ivy League school or the state Ivies like University of Texas, University of Pennsylvania, which is a Ivy school, USC, University of Southern California, or UCLA, those type of schools, Oxy, they're gonna have to bring it. And let me say this, parents, teachers' jobs are not to raise your children. I never forget, I had a young lady, she didn't want to do anything in class. I called her father and I said, I know she can do this, but she is not doing her work. And you know what that man told me? He said, so what do you want me to do? Can I say that again? Your daughter is failing. She's not doing work in class. She's doing an excessive amount of talking. And he said, what do you want me to do? And I said, I am so glad you asked that question. This is what I want you to do. When she gets home, she has these computer programs that help her vocabulary and to help her writing. I need her to spend at least 3 hours doing this. That's how that's what I want you to do. I had to come back like that because I was floored that he asked me, what do you want me to do? Well, you're her parent, number one. But since you have to ask me, then let me give you the directions. I'm not here to raise your kids. Let me tell you something, baby. My mama would show up on campus unannounced. I didn't know if she gonna come out of closet. I don't know if she was gonna come through the back door because she was like that. She had time. You all have to make sure your children are learning. Don't get me wrong, y'all, but now there is no excuse for your child not to get things. I recommended those things like Khan Academy so the kids could really get help on their math. Thought Bubble, I can't think of that thing, but like they gave Cliff Notes to world history and all of that stuff, and I can't think of it right now, but I used to use a lot of video helps in the class. And then I would recommend Salar Academy, Straighter Line, and Sophia.org, but especially Salar, because Salar was just $5 just to take the test, to proctor the test. I'm like, y'all need to be getting these credits. So there's something you can do. And if you all are really college prep, you should be taking these college courses for $5. Baby, let me say this. And look, can I say something to you all? Let me say from my experience, it wasn't the kids that were the problem. If you are a teacher that has good classroom management and you don't play with these kids and they know that you're serious, they will get in line. It wasn't even their parents. For the most part, the parents were very cooperative. See, I was that kind of teacher that if you cut up in my class, I would call your parent on spot. Tell them what you were doing. And then the mama was like, let me get the phone. I didn't play that. And then I would get on the phone. I would say, so Miss Jones, if he continues this behavior, he's going to get 3 days home. And Miss Jones, I don't want him to get 3 days home because that means he's going to miss out on learning. But Miss Jones, not only is he going to miss out on learning, but you're going to have to take time off of work or get a babysitter. And I know you don't want to do that. So Miss Jones, could we make a covenant or an agreement that you will handle this so I won't have to deal with this tomorrow? Because I don't want him to go to the office. Can you work with me? Oh yeah, doctor, we can do, yeah, yeah. And baby, when they come back, they be all together. Now, I don't ask what they did. Ain't none of my business. But that's how I used to deal with it. So it's really not the parents. Now, are there some parents who don't give a damn? Yeah. The real problem is the system. The real problem is the system. Now, I will say this, y'all, and I'm going to tell y'all what I had to do as a teacher. You had to be on the campus at 6:45. You didn't leave until 5:15. Okay? I'm just giving y'all this now. You had to call the parents and give 5 positive calls to let the parent know that the child is doing well. Okay? If you had anybody who dropped below a 70, you had to call the parents to say, hey, your child is making a 70. Now, you feel, well, that's what teachers are supposed to do. Yeah. That's what we're supposed to do. But then you got to have a heat chart, meaning that you got to have a chart in a seating chart of your special ed kids, of your English second language kids, and your top achievers. Then you had to have a chart of what they did well, and did they get the lesson? If they didn't, what did you do wrong? Because it was always the teacher, never the students. What did you mess up on? Then you had to have a weekly report. And not to mention, you got to have a lesson plan, because you got to have your lesson plan. Your lesson plan had to be turned in every Friday. You had to have a lesson plan. Then you had to do roll. Oh, you had to take attendance. Then, if there's an after school, you had to stay for that. Oh, and then if you had to do field lessons, you had to go out of town with these kids and chaperone. When I tell you, y'all, it was so many charts, so many reports, so many of this you had to fill out this, fill out this, to the point where it's like, okay, so when will I get a chance to teach? When I tell you, they gave teachers little time to teach. It was more about administrative and paperwork than teaching your kids. Even on your break, then you got a principal. I used to tell my principal, you can't come on my break because you're eating up my time. And then you wonder why this is not in and this is not in, because you are bothering me. And no, let's not get to the observation. Oh, it was a mess, y'all. It's a mess. And believe it or not, y'all, it's stressful. And let me say this. If you are a mediocre teacher, you got it made. But if you are a good teacher, all of the kids who have an issue will be in your class because you can handle those kids. And the expectation is that you do miracles, and they keep giving you more and more and more. And this is why I have a problem with new teachers coming in, because a lot of them, not all, but a lot of them don't have classroom management skills, and they will send that booger to your class And then the next thing you know, you have a boatload of kids because she can't handle her. She can't manage her class. I'm telling you, only in the United States, out of some of these industrialized countries, that teachers don't get the respect that they should. It is hard to be a teacher in Korea. It is hard. It's a noble position. It's respected. Yeah, people don't even respect teachers. Teachers should be getting paid 6 figures, but teachers get paid monthly. And y'all, my saving grace is that I had advanced degrees. I don't know how some of these teachers make it off of that pay. And this was a good school system that I was working. But do you know what else burnout teachers? If you take a club, you get paid. So so I did 2 clubs and got paid. If you were a coach, you get paid. So you have all of these teachers doing it. Now I'm gonna tell you what I did teach. Baby, summer school is when you're can I say summer school is when your children learn? Because it is not a lot of kids. It ain't a whole lot of paperwork. And you can actually teach your children in summer school, and the teachers get paid extremely well for summer school because it's only 1 month and you still have 2 months left. So I taught summer school. Oh, yes. But your children really learn in summer school. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm just telling y'all because, again, folk don't know. Virgin, I'm retiring at the end of February. I will be seeking your guidance and furthering my education. It's never too late. Okay. Yes, Miss Patricia. They don't offer home economics anymore. You know, in home economics, I learned how to balance a checkbook. I learned how to shop and use coupons and all of that stuff. Home ec, and then we had shop. So we used to do them wood things like, you'll put your family last name in the wood, and then you'll do that decoupage where you get a picture and you put it on the wood and laminate it. Baby was doing a lot of laminations, and then you learn how to take photos, and we would go into the dark room for photography. Oh, I learned that. We was dissecting frogs and grasshoppers, baby, once a month. Baby, can you imagine once a month and you got to balance all your stuff? No, I'm serious. Yeah, you learn how to cook too. But no, seriously, y'all, summer school, I'm not going to lie. Summer school, I had autonomy. I taught what I knew the students needed. Only in summer school did they let the teachers be the teachers. Because, yeah. So let me tell you what they have in Austin now. And let me tell you, I'm a believer in it. I like what they do. I see what they're doing in Austin. And I see where education is getting ready to change. And we're going to have and have nots. In Austin, they have a school called the Alpha Academy. In Austin, there is a school called the Alpha Academy. In the Alpha Academy, the first 3 hours, I believe, are spent in English, math, and science. All of it is taught AI. They have a guide, not a teacher, but a guide. And that guide makes sure that the students are on track. That's all they do. to make sure the students are on track. They ain't teaching the students. They're making sure the students are on track and they're reaching their goals. So they really push the students to be on track. Math, science, and English. Then the students have real teachers when it comes to speech, team building, business, entrepreneurship, and all of that. So AI teaches them science, math, and English. But they are socialized in their speech class and this. Baby, they had 6th grade students running an Airbnb. So these students are getting real business world experience. In high school, they had a young lady who designed her own app and is making money off that app. Do you see what they're doing? They are already getting these kids poised to speak, work together as a team. So they have team building exercises. And so that's the rest. That's the other 5 hours of the class. First 3 hours, AI. The last portion of it is team building and being socialized and speaking to people. Now, these kids are getting in top schools, Ivy League schools. They are scoring phenomenally on their standardized tests. Guess how much it costs to go to the school? Anybody can tell me how much it costs to go to this school? 1 year of this school. Somebody give me the estimate. Don't look it up. Don't go look it up. Just give me a guess. How much do you think that this school is for 1 year to go to this school? Somebody hurry up now. Somebody guess. I'm waiting for y'all. Come on now. Come on. Come on, give me a number. How much do you all think this school costs a year to attend per year? Well, seems like nobody gonna give me no number. $45,000 for 1 year. $45,000 for 1 year. So you all, I know that we've come from Bishop Wooten to Trump to this, but this is the root. If you don't think for yourself, if you don't know how to do research, you're going to be in trouble. If you don't know how to look for sources and look, like there are certain cat groups that I know. Oh, you said 60, just a little lower than that though. There are a little, Miss Ashley T. There are some PACs that they sponsor certain research, and that's who I always look. Who's doing this research and why, and how is it going to benefit them? That's how the cigarette industry got. They paid the university professors to validate their mess, and you always got to look behind who's behind this study. They have a Reynolds chair. Reynolds who? Reynolds Tobacco. You see what I'm saying? It's hard to go against a major donor at the university, especially when they're a tobacco company. I'm just saying, a lot of people don't understand that. I'm looking at AI now and how AI is delivering fake stories, especially the movies now and all of the visuals. And that's going to be very dangerous. We got to be careful. We got to know how to say, no, this is AI. Because there's going to be a time where people are not going to be able to tell. And you're going to have to be very, very cognizant of that. I'm just being real, you all. And when you don't research, You don't know what's valid source or what's not a valid source. And this is why Trump has won so many people over, because he keeps saying it until people believe it. Robert Kennedy is not basing any of this medical stuff on facts. It's conspiracy theory. And people are losing lives because of his inability and his lack of knowledge. So this is why I go back to Trump again. This is why I go back to Wooten again. Wooten is so concerned about that lady dress. That lady dress is not causing your people to go hungry, or her dress is not causing companies to lay off. Do you all know that Tyson meat packing plant in Nebraska just closed? It has caused such a uproar in the community. It was the only game in town. The only game in town. And they're making money, but they want to be profitable somewhere else because another meatpacking plant who's come in. And again, non-union. The school is concerned because if there's no money to pay for the taxes, then that means programs have to be cut. Restaurants are getting ready to close because there will be no one to buy the food if they don't have a job. Jobs are coming in to help those people get jobs, but they're not in that community. So these people are going to have to leave because these corporations don't give a damn about people. They give a damn about profits. Now, there are some companies who really care about their people, but that's the exception and not the rule. And so Tyson is doing that. If you work for Tyson, if you work for Cargill, you need to be concerned because these people don't care about people. They care about profits. And these tariffs are giving people excuses to lay people off. And it's sad. Well, I was never a supporter of Trump because if you would have looked at his history, you would know who he is already. When this man was stiffing contractors who worked on his hotels and always put them in litigation so he knew that they would run out of money and he would not have to pay them, do you think that he's for the regular people? Do you think he's for the regular people? When he calls soldiers losers and he didn't want to go to that memorial, really? The man was telling you who he was all the time, and y'all just finding this out. But again, Trump said he liked the uneducated. And long as he's doing it to them people, I'm fine. But now y'all finding out he's doing it to y'all. America first. How you America first, but you sending money over to prop up somebody else's farmers, but snatching money from your own farmers. Now they losing their farm and they voted for you. Mr. Trump. You heard this, Mr. Trump. He didn't care about y'all in the first place. But y'all voted for him because he was spewing out all of that hate that y'all like. But hate is expensive. Racism is expensive. I don't think we should be supporting USAID. Well, all of the food that was going over to USAID, guess who was paying for it? USAID was paying y'all to send it over there. You didn't know that because you don't research, and now your farms are going under. And Trump don't give a damn. You know why? Because Cargill and Tyson and those major corporate farmers organizations gonna snap them farms up for pennies on the dollar. and they're gonna be in charge of the food because they got you out. Trump didn't care for you all. See, this is what I'm trying to tell people. He's been this way all along. He wasn't even a Republican. He was a Democrat. But he'll be anything you want him to be, long as he can get into power. And he's not in this alone. All those Christian nationals are right there with him. I'm just saying. So I don't understand. I have some people who I know that they were loyal Trump supporters. They had to get on, like I said, they had to get on Obamacare because they were independent contractors. And they had health issues. And they were so reluctant to get on Obamacare because it was Obamacare. They, that black man. But then they got on it. And then they be able to, even though it was an HMO, they could see a doctor. Now they're not going to vote for Trump because their premium's gone up. So when you tell me you're a Trump supporter, I got to look at you side-eyed at the beginning anyhow, because he was always there. Now you just think that he's doing this. It ain't about America first. It's about Trump first. How you going to say that you get Maduro for drug trafficking charges, but you pardon the Honduran man, I think the president of Honduras, who was actually a drug trafficker, but you pardon him, but yet you going for Maduro, and those drugs don't get to the United States. Them drugs used to go to Europe. I'm just saying. But it was never about the drug trafficking. It was always about the oil. And how do I know this? Because you was talking to the oil companies before the invasion. Yeah. It was, yeah. Yeah. It don't jive, y'all. It ain't America first. It's the 1% first. It's enriching my family first. I don't give a damn about y'all. And then he gonna throw y'all some nearly $5,000, and y'all just getting excited about that little $5,000 while his people are making billions, millions and billions of dollars, and they throw y'all a piece of scrap and y'all get excited about it. That's what I'm looking at. Well, Trump promised us $1,000. I'm like, are you serious? Anyway. Yeah. So this is where we are now. And if you don't think that we at the verge of a war, I ain't never felt this uneasy about the United States until now. And I ain't gonna lie, I thought Bush was bad for looking for Saddam Hussein and then going up against. Now let me say this, y'all. I could understand that, but why you go to Afghanistan? That didn't make no sense to me. But again, this is what we wanted to do, right? I thought that was bad. What Trump did, much worse, because at least Bush had Colin Powell look stupid to support it. At least Bush got support with the foreign nations. Trump didn't get no support. He went right on in and did it. Went right on in and did it, didn't he? No support. Now NATO is saying, oh, we got to do something about him. And that's who y'all voted for. My God, today. I mean, his own niece was sounding the alarm. Y'all didn't want to hear her either. Child married Trump done told y'all. How many people had to die of COVID? How many families died of COVID because of his misinformation? He don't give a damn. Don't give a damn about them people who died of COVID. Don't give a damn. And it's so funny because I knew somebody in the military and they talking about something, I ain't taking that shot. Hell, you took all of them shots and them people made you take them shots. and you still here, right? But now you're gonna get deep with the COVID, man. Please go on somewhere, baby. Minneapolis is getting ready to explode because they shouldn't have unalived that woman. Child, them PPP loans. Lord, no, no, no. Let me tell y'all something. That Anheuser-Busch has been in Newark as long as, child. You talking about the Anheuser-Busch plant right next to the Newark International Airport with that blanket light on, that spooky old eagle between the A? You talking about that Anheuser-Busch? Oh my God. That has been a staple in Newark. What? Oh my God. Oh my God. Y'all, I remember that Anheuser-Busch. It's not too far from Newark International Airport. Oh my God. Mm-mm-mm. I tell you. Why are they closing? I'm interested. Why are they closing? For repurposing. Oh Lord. Yeah, a lot of black people are moving to Vietnam and Thailand. Hmm. A lot of people are moving to Asia. A lot of black people are moving to Thailand and Vietnam. They sold it to the Goldman Group. Oh, the Goodman Group. Mm-mm-mm. Y'all, a lot of companies are going under. A lot of companies are going under. These tariffs hurt a lot of companies. Y'all don't know, those tariffs took a toll on a lot of corporations, a lot of mom and pops. It's a lady, and she has a bakery, and she got a lot of her chocolates overseas. But how you gonna buy $300 worth of chocolates and then get charged $800 for the tariff? You see where they're going? Nuh-uh. $700. Girl, you can make that on YouTube. Girl, you could. A lot of YouTubers are going to Vietnam and they're doing their YouTube gig and getting paid and paying their mortgage from YouTube. Baby, people doing YouTube getting paid a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, secure building, $700, all utilities paid. That's good. That'll cost you about $2,300 here. Child. Brooklyn, when companies start doing that, you don't ever feel safe. You don't ever feel safe. You never feel safe because it depends on the company. I mean, it's you got people making decisions about your life. But you got to be careful in Thailand, though. You got to make sure your building is stable. And I always want to know who built it because, baby, these Chinese builders are something else. Well, look, y'all, I'm heading off. Y'all have a good one. Peace and love. Bye.